Recently, a Boeing 787 crash once again shocked the world. 280 lives, business travelers, international students, and even a 10-month-old baby were lost in an instant. Amid thick black smoke, ambulance sirens, and unbearable grief, global opinion turned on Boeing. The Dreamliner, once an engineering marvel, is now derided as a flying coffin. The company has begun a freefall, not from 30 feet, but from the height of public trust, and the consequences are only starting to unfold. Beyond the staggering financial losses, Boeing now faces the legal aftershocks of multiple investigations. Experts say this disaster instantly revived memories of the 737 MAX scandal that cost the company billions. Only hours after the fatal crash near Ahmedabad, the Indian government ordered an emergency inspection of its entire 787 fleet, 34 aircraft in all. Within a day, at least 8 jets were grounded, while Air India's technicians performed around-the-clock maintenance under strict oversight. Even Indian airlines that do not yet fly Dreamliners were advised to reconsider future purchases to avoid political and public backlash. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, also opened what analysts describe as Boeing's most rigorous inquiry since the 737 MAX disaster. Attention quickly shifted to Boeing's Seattle headquarters, no longer seen as a beacon of innovation, but as the epicenter of a fast-moving crisis of confidence. The numbers are staggering. In 2024 alone, Boeing was burning through nearly $1 billion a month, about $33 million every day, thanks to the lingering 737 MAX fallout, a crippled post-COVID supply chain, and now the Dreamliner's first fatal crash. The company reported a net loss of $11.8 billion, its worst results since the pandemic, while delivering only 348 planes, the lowest output since 2020. Delayed contracts, forced compensation payouts, and outright cancellations followed. Wall Street responded mercilessly. Boeing's share price plunged 5 to 9% in a single session, erasing more than $7 billion in market value. Significant investment funds rapidly downgraded the stock, and analysts began asking a grim question. Could Boeing be heading for bankruptcy? The alarm grew louder when the company withdrew from the 2025 Paris Air Show, one of the industry's premier venues for unveiling new technology and signing multi-billion-dollar deals. It was a clear sign Boeing no longer dared step into the spotlight. Inside the company, the pain was even sharper. Boeing announced its most brutal cuts since the 2008 financial crisis, eliminating 17,000 jobs, about 10% of its global workforce. Once busy factories in Seattle, Charleston, and Mesa fell silent. Some production lines, built at the cost of hundreds of millions, were dismantled before they could ever break even. Long-serving employees left in tears, clutching severance checks instead of retirement watches. Analysts warn that if confidence in the Dreamliner keeps eroding, Boeing may shutter still more lines or even sell assets to survive. Postponed or canceled orders have already begun a domino effect reminiscent of the 737 MAX meltdown. Emirates, long one of Boeing's most loyal customers, has chosen Airbus A350 wide bodies instead of waiting for the Dreamliner. KLM has likewise shifted future orders to Airbus, ending a decades-long partnership. Qantas is reevaluating its entire fleet strategy with an eye toward non-Boeing aircraft. When 3 flagship carriers across 3 continents walk away, others tend to follow. Money lost can, in theory, be earned back. What Boeing fears even more is the looming legal consequences. With every passing day, more lawyers, governments, and victims prepare to take the company to court. Boeing already paid $1.1 billion to avoid criminal prosecution in the 737 MAX scandal, and another $2.5 billion in a 2021 federal settlement. It may not be so fortunate this time. The Ahmedabad crash killed everyone on board and more than 40 civilians on the ground, including students and staff in a nearby dormitory. Under the Montreal Convention, Air India, and by extension Boeing, could face roughly $200,000 per deceased victim, plus tens of millions for property damage, medical costs, and survivor compensation. India's Ministry of Civil Aviation estimates total damages could exceed 1 trillion rupees, about $12 billion, and that is only one country's claim. Aviation legal experts note that, unlike previous cases focused on software flaws or certification shortcuts, this investigation may center on design or manufacturing defects, opening the door to simultaneous civil and criminal actions in multiple jurisdictions. Early clues point to structural assembly or control system issues, areas where Boeing had already been warned of vulnerabilities. Since 2019, whistleblowers, including the late quality manager John Barnett, have accused Boeing of installing substandard components and falsifying inspection records. Barnett was found dead in his car from a gunshot wound months after going public, fueling speculation about whether he was silenced. Now, with the Dreamliner disaster, his warnings have returned to haunt the company. Class action suits are expected not only in India, but also in the United States, the United Kingdom, and other nations where 787s operate. One U.S. firm estimates that compensation could surpass $1 billion in the first year alone if Boeing had ignored internal safety alerts. Meanwhile, several governments, including members of the European Union, are reconsidering Boeing's aircraft certifications and may suspend the 787's approval entirely if design or quality control violations are confirmed, a move that could freeze Boeing's global sales pipeline. What makes this crisis different from the 737 MAX saga is that a software patch cannot fix a faulty manufacturing ecosystem. As aviation analyst Richard Abulafia put it, if the 737 MAX was a crack, the 787 Dreamliner is a sinkhole. A single crash can be an accident. Ignoring every warning is a silent crime. This catastrophe did not begin on June 12th. It has been ongoing for more than a decade. Even before the 787's maiden flight, cracks in engineering and management were showing. 4 years of delivery delays and more than $10 billion in cost overruns turned a celebrated project into a financial nightmare. The first Dreamliner, promised for 2008, did not reach a customer until October 2011, under a cloud of skepticism rather than applause. Technical alarms followed quickly. In January 2013, a Japan Airlines 787 caught fire in Boston. The blaze originated not in the engine, but in the lithium-ion batteries Boeing touted as a next-generation efficiency breakthrough, technology never before used at that scale in commercial aviation. Months later, an Ethiopian Airlines 787 ignited at Heathrow after battery wiring overheated. Norwegian Air reported a significant fuel leak caused by a faulty valve. Over time, the Dreamliner began to look less like a technological marvel and more like a patchwork of risky experiments. Even its airframe raised concerns. Boeing replaced traditional aluminum with carbon fiber composite, saving weight but inviting questions about long-term delamination. Engineers reported paper-thin joints where fuselage panels were glued, not bolted. In 2021 to 2022, the FAA halted all 787 deliveries for more than a year after microscopic cracks appeared in fuselage joins and titanium parts failed to meet specs. An unprecedented intervention. Against this backdrop, the 2025 crash felt inevitable. Observers asked not what happened, but why didn't we act sooner? The difference between Boeing and its rival Airbus could not be starker. When Airbus faced an A380 engine problem in 2010, it partnered with Rolls-Royce, recalled and replaced the parts, and had the fleet safely back in service within 6 months without downplaying the risk. Trust was preserved. Airbus continued to sell A350s and A330s. Boeing, by contrast, has been repeatedly accused of concealing information, self-certifying inspections, and marginalizing whistleblowers. While Airbus follows a collaborative, transparent model, Boeing has opted for cost-cutting and narrative control, and the market is responding. Airbus continues to ink major contracts. Boeing is losing them, not because of inferior technology, but because trust has evaporated. Will Boeing survive? Can the 787 continue flying? Or is this the end of what was once hailed as the American Dreamliner? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this analysis useful, please like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into aviation technology and the stories behind the headlines. Thanks for reading, and until next time, safe travels!